Dorothy,
There, you need to spotlight me or
I'm going to right now.
okay.
There you go.
All right. Hi, everybody. I am uh, very pleased to be able to introduce Karen Nagai from the Ichabod International Seattle chapter, and PSSA is very appreciative and honored to have an association with the Seattle chapter of Ichabod International at this time. I think we're all learning a lot more about Ikebana because of this new association with another group. Um, Karen has been is going to bring us information about the Senke School of Ikebana, which some of us may know about, but I certainly don't. So that will be really interesting. She's been studying Ikebana since she was 15 years old, and I'm hoping that she'll tell us her story of how she got started and about her favorite vase. So uh, I'm turning it over now to Karen Nagai, and we're really happy to have you here, Karen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Um, so just a little bit about my background. As she said, I started Ikebana when I was 15. Actually, little less than that, but it was a matter of months. And I I really wasn't forced to do it. My mother didn't force me, but I found it to be so curious and so peculiar that I just wanted to tag along. So it was curiosity more than anything else. Um, she would say later, after after I had taken a few years of lessons, that she really wanted me to learn to be ladylike by studying Ikebana. Um, and I thought that was really interesting because I was the one with the high water boots who would slosh into the swamp areas to cut material. And I thought, yeah, really ladylike. And my daddy bought me a machete to cut material with. And I thought, these are all tools. But I am grateful. I have learned about engineering and problem solving through Ikebana. I have to confess that I'm not the artistic one in my family. I think my mother was much more artistic, but the challenges of putting arrangements together was enough to keep me going for over 50 years. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, but what I've got is a collection of arrangements that I want to show to you. Some of it will be pre-done, pre-made arrangements, and some will be actually arranging live for you, um, just to show you kind of the fundamentals of our school. Not to give away all our secrets, but just to show you the fundamentals. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some of our material, and you will find very monochromatic arrangements. This is you. It's all you. It's all green. This is Scotch broom, all green. The most colorful thing here next to me is the Nandina that I have. It's a reflection of our school. It's a reflection of the materials that were available to our early masters. This school was created by Sen no Rikyu, the tea master, who lived from 1521 to the 1590s. So that gives you an idea of how old our style is. It's over 400 years old. And what I guess one important thing to me is that the arrangements he created are arrangements we can still do today. That's the legacy. Also, as the head of the school, I inherited the style. Actually, I I am worried about making sure that this style, this school, lasts another 400 years beyond me. So that's my own personal challenge. But anyway, let's get to the flowers. I created some arrangements ahead of time because I wanted to show you some of the techniques that we use. And to do this in front of you might have taken a whole hour. And I have to tell you, it's boring to watch somebody just bend for 15 minutes at a time, cut, bend some more. I don't know if that would be akin to watching somebody wash your brushes. I'm not sure. Maybe it's in that light. But anyway, the first arrangement, let me adjust my screen too. Okay, this container is an usibata. I have no translation for it. To me, it looks like some sort of altar, offering vessel. I call this the hat. This part separates. It's shaped like an urn. This hat comes off for transport. It actually does. This is coming that off.
Karen, it's a little difficult to hear you. Can you come back into the audio a little bit more?
I will.
Thank you.
Here we go. I'm afraid to bring the laptop any closer, but okay, so this is the arrangement I created in this container, all right? And I can lift it up.
Great.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
heavy metal. It's not bronze, but it's bronze-like, okay? What I wanted to show you are the lines that we use in my style. This tallest branch I refer to as heaven. This is, you know, kind of a mnemonic. This is how we can put relationships between our lines. This tallest branch is heaven. Next tallest, and about 2/3 tall, is man. The shortest branch is earth. And if you can look at this from where you are, it forms a triangle. It also forms a triangle when you look at it from above, okay? So I've just taken the branches out, okay? I have to, in order to make it stand up in this vase, I have to cut where it touches the sides of the vase, okay? But anyway, this is my basic triangle. This is heaven, man, and earth. And you'll see this pattern repeated. It's not symmetrical, it's asymmetrical, but it's balanced. If I made this too short, then there would be, it would be hard to tell this from the earth line. If I made the heaven too short, it wouldn't have a grand appearance as it would if it's taller, all right? All of you are artists, so you understand the relationship between your lines. So that I figured I wouldn't have to go through very much. What I did want to show you though, is how it stays in the container. Oops, water. This is a cross stick. This was originally created by Sen Norikyu to hold our material in place. They're just two sticks fitted to the inside of this vase, and it holds up the material. This was, I would say, about 1570s to 1590s, because he's the one who created this technique. Okay, the original. All right, so let's move on. Oh, and a little history about this particular vase. I saw this when I was still a college student, and the shop owner was so kind to let me make time payments with my part-time job and having to pay for tuition. I bought this one on my own when I was in my late teens, when I was in college. So, all right, moving on. Sen Norikyu, the creator of our school, was known to create different kinds of vases. One of his creations is what's called the tabimakura. This is a bamboo piece. It's 12 inches high and it's about 4 inches across. I was always told it's 12 inches for the months of the year and 4 inches across for the seasons of the year. Well, I know for sure that in the 1590s, they're not using inches in Japan. So, I mean, that's a relatively good story, but I didn't buy it. Right. So that's not a problem. What I wanted to show you was that he would travel around the country, he would travel around Japan during the night, use this as a pillow to sleep, And then when he came across something he wanted to arrange, he'd flip it over and use it as a vase. This particular vase has a copper lining in it. Okay. It protects the bamboo. You know, if you know bamboo, you know that it splits after time and temperature. So this is called azundo or tabimakura, travel pillow. All right. And this is one of the creations of the creator of our school, Senno Rikyu. So I have another arrangement in the same kind of container. All right. But what I wanted to do for you with this particular arrangement is to, how you would say, derange, so that I can show you all the elements. You might, I don't paint, but you might relate it to brush strokes. I'm not certain. But anyway, as I take out each piece, and I'm going to move my camera again, I will name each piece that goes into this particular arrangement. Okay. All right, sorry for this. When I find a camera I like, I'll get it. Okay, so this is Scotch broom. This is initiative. This is the stuff that makes your eyes water in the spring. It has those horrible yellow flowers. It's a noxious weed according to King County, okay? But we use it in Ikebana. We use it in my school. Gathered at empty lots, roadsides, driveways, you name it, okay? This is a formal style arrangement. This is the original style, so to speak, in Senkei school. So just taking this apart for you. All right, I have my heaven line. This was the tallest line. My heaven back helper line. Next tallest line, my heaven front helper line. Oops. Next tallest. I have a separate line that holds the waistline in. I have my filler, 1, 2, 3 fillers. I have a back helper to my man line. I have a front helper to my man line. I have my man line, and these little ones that fell out were part of the earth line. Back helper, front helper, main line to earth. All right, this other thing here goes right in back of the heaven line to show how elegant the heaven line is. It's called Hari, and I don't have a translation for that. So I wanted to take that apart so that I can eventually show you the innovation that was made in the 1780s by Shote. He was another Senkei student. He followed the principles of Senno Rikyu, but he came up with the idea of splitting the stick in order to place the material inside. That way you don't get a change in elevation in your holder. Okay, this is a split stick, and it's cut and it's shaved to fit exactly in here. If not done correctly, you couldn't arrange that. You couldn't defy gravity that way. All right, so I wanted to show you some of those things. Those are the really fundamental pieces to this kind of arrangement. All right, now let's see. I have a list on my wall that I'm trying to keep up with. Okay,
Well,
so I'll show you that. I want to show you
I think
another.
you're gonna have to.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to.
Somebody
mute it.
needs to mute.
No.
Okay. I think we're good now.
As long as it's not me. Okay, so this is another bamboo vase. It's called a tsurukubi. You see how tall my material? This is again yew, and this is bamboo. Tsurukubi because this to me looks like the bill of a crane. A tsuru is a crane. Okay, this to me looks like the neck. Okay, this is another bamboo style vase that I wanted to show you. This is yew. Everything stuck in with a split stick holder. All right. Heaven, man, earth, the shortest part, okay? Take this out. There's the split stick, okay? All right, moving on. Okay, there's another type of vase that we use in our school, and it's called a hirokuchi, wide mouth. It translates as big mouth, all right? I just want to show you what that looks like. Again, it looks like some sort of offering vessel. It's made out of metal, very heavy, and it's great for big material. Okay, this is Nandina, non-tin. I'll just place, and this is just a glass bowl for the sake of keeping things kind of neat around here. Otherwise, I'm sloshing through water. Place that. I'll readjust the screen so you can see. Can you see that? And then that's the top of the arrangement. Once again, tallest is heaven. Next tallest is man. Shortest is earth. It's got the 3 dimensions. The tallest is heaven. Man either sticks out furthest to the right or furthest to the left. The earth line is the lowest, and it's the one that's closer to the viewer. It's closest to the viewer of all these 3 lines, all right? That way, you get a triangle looking at it this way. You get a triangle looking at it from above, all right? I'm just going to change containers. I know you're waiting for the flowers. We could use flowers in this arrangement in place of the earth line. And it would go in here and it would be just fine. I would like to use yellow mums. Yeah, they kind of stick out, but it stands nicely against the colors of the Nandinas. Okay. All right, just switching containers. This, oh, I'm going to put it on a riser here. This is an incense burner. So I took out the Nandina from the hirokuchi and I just placed it in the incense burner. What I would probably do though is trim a bit to fit. All right, trim it so that it looks natural. Okay, so this is that same material in a small round container, an incense burner. Okay. I don't want that to get too far away. Because my next arrangement is a basket. We also use baskets in our school. I mean, baskets have been around for forever, right? They find them in archaeological digs and that sort of thing. So let's use this Nandina. And inside of this, I have another container that's waterproof. Okay. So in my school, we're required to arrange main lines in front of this handle and to show at least half the handle. All right. This style besides being a basket, is a thrown-in style, because I am indeed just throwing the material in. And this is how, before vases, right, and before baskets, this is how it's done. I'll show you in a minute some of the other tools I use. Okay, so this is just a filler and back. All right. I would trim this some more, but I'm going to use it again, so I don't want to trim it. And this is a basket arrangement, if you can see it. Okay. Very fall. Nandina's turning. Okay. So now we're getting into vases that I found in different places. Vases from different places. Not everything you arrange in has to be an Ikebana vase. I found this glass bowl at Rite Aid. Just happened to go down some of the housewares, and it's a great little bowl. Kind of looks like a hat if you turn it like this, but it's just a green glass bowl. Put in a frog, pin holder. These I think were produced after the war, so in the 1940s. Another type of holder that's used in Ikebana is called a shippo. And if you can see that there are holes in this, this would hold the material in as well. Okay, and this is for this kind of container, whereas the taller container, I use a split stick, or the formal container, I use a split stick. But anyway, here's the pin holder, here's a frog. You can buy them at Freddy's, you can buy them at Michael's, you can buy them at craft stores. So we'll take what we've already used.
Do you happen to know why those are called frogs?
I don't know. Maybe it's a translation from something else, because the only other thing I can think of is the clasp that you hold clothes together with, also called a frog, right? I'm not sure. In Japanese, the word is kenzan. All right, so this is growing right outside my doorstep, so I get to look at it if I come in the front door. Okay, and then the bottom of woody material, you can split, not only to help the water go up, but to get it into the pin holder. Okay, so I'm a little more flexible with this. I'm calling this heaven, I'm calling that man. And we'll go back to the yellow flowers. And because this bowl is kind of wide, I want to use a little bit dimension, right? I'm not going to make this stand straight up. Right. Okay, and the shears that I'm using, these shears are for flowers. They're, of course, from Japan. But this is the kind I was trained to use for flowers. And these are used for branches. Okay, again, from Japan. My other tools are a knife for me to slice the bottom of a branch when I'm doing formal, or even when I'm doing this, because I can shave the bottom, shave some of the bark off and help it bring up water. And then of course, sometimes I need pliers. So those are just some of my tools. Okay, so we've got the Nandina, and now we've got all this in a green bowl. Another thing you can do, kind of fun, you can add a prop. In this case, piece of wood. Make it more interesting, create some texture. It's not supposed to hide anything. It's supposed to enhance what you're doing and make it more natural. So now this style is called moribana. Okay, arranging flower material. And this is a later addition to the Senkei school. This came in around, let's say, the 1940s. This was created by Sensei Shoji, who's like 2 Iemoto ahead of, she was my great aunt. She innovated this style for people to be able to use all the material left over after they made formal arrangements. So it was a way to utilize what people had, right? Moribana, this is flower style, all right? This is, like I said, my Rite Aid purchase. Not everything you arrange in has to be a vase made in Japan, made in China. So I just wanted to show you that one. My favorite vase that I use for all my demonstrations is this little green bowl. This is one of the first bowls we purchased when we started taking flower arrangement lessons in 67, 68. Okay, I already have a frog in there. Okay, I'm going to use the mum. Actually, I looked for Dutch iris for this container, but I couldn't find any this morning and last night. So I'm just going to use the yellow mum and create an upright moribana for you. Flowers have a front and back. Growing material has a front and back. We have a front and back. So I pay attention to that as I'm arranging. I don't want the back of the flower facing me. I don't want the flower looking into me either. And I don't want to be staring like if you could picture a Gamera daisy, you know, how they're distinct pattern. I don't want to be looking that in the face. There's just, we were just trained that it shouldn't be staring at us. Probably a totally Asian reaction to things. Whereas as Americans, we're taught to look everybody in the eye, correct? Not so. Not so in all cultures. Okay. And because I couldn't find Dutch iris, but I really liked purple in the space, I got status. So if you're a husky, give it a cheer. That's where I worked for 40 years after graduating. So usually when I demonstrate, I arrange really fast because I'm really, really nervous. The other thing you need to know is that when we were taking lessons, we weren't allowed to speak at all. Not a word. It had to be absolutely silent in class. The only thing we were allowed to make noise was the sound of our shears clipping. So arranging in front of other people is it's not always comfortable for some of us. But anyway, that's my favorite green vase with mum in it. I'm watching the clock, so all right. Heaven, man, earth. And this is filler. This is to fill in. Without this, it'd be pretty bare. Okay. I'd probably not want this fully bloomed on top, but when you buy them, most of the time, this is what you get. I also, when I go to farmers markets and such, and I look at the bunches of flowers, everything's all bloomed out. It's kind of beyond what I would use. When I arrange, I look for, you can think of it this way, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. In other words, yesterday, something that's bloomed all the way out. Today, something that's on the brink of blooming all the way out. And tomorrow is the bud. So because things grow like that in nature, we try to replicate that in our ikebana in my particular style. Okay, so it gives you an appreciation of time and the passage of time. All right, moving on, what have I got? Let's do a low basket. All right, so not all baskets are tall. Sometimes you have a low basket like this. So I treat it much like the green vase. Okay, Nandina. Too big. Again, I have a frog in it, holding it up. Okay. Sorry for going off camera, but I've got all my supplies surrounding me here. Okay. So one thing you have to be careful about when you're arranging material is to keep the water clean. So you don't want any dead leaves in there because that'll spoil the water and it'll spoil your flowers even faster. So when you do get cut flowers or someone gives you a bouquet, it's always a good idea to take a slice off the bottom, right? So that it could draw up water more easily. I'm kind of arranging this backwards, so. Right, heaven, man. Once again, heaven, man, earth. And I don't necessarily have to use the same color, but this is such a striking kind of flower that I want them to match. I'm just want them to match, that's all. Now, to me, I'm looking at the back side of it. You're looking at the front side. Seems to me it's a little bare back here. So I'll add some cover. To the back. Not only does that make the bottom of this arrangement a little bit darker, it covers the back. It will eventually help to cover the frog, because that's another thing that's required in my school, that this frog be completely covered by the time I'm done. So I could use leaves, although these are a little spindly. I could use another method. I could use rocks. So I would put rocks to cover the frog in the container. I would use foliage. I would use some kind of brush to make sure it's covered. All right. That's just a low basket. Very fall-like. Almost monochromatic. I mean, if you think of the flowers and the Nandina. Okay. All right. And I'm just recycling this. Same idea. Heaven, man, earth. Heaven, man, earth. All right. Next on the list. This is my mother's favorite vase. She called it her Bizan. I don't know if it's actually a Bizan vase, but this was her favorite of the Moribana vases that we had. And she liked to use, now this one I'm going to arrange facing me because I have these pom-pom green mums that are a little bit more challenging. Now you'll find when you watch other schools that they'll cut underwater, which is a good way to draw the water up into the material. I've tried that a couple of times and it was like being in the bathroom with a water pick for the first time. I had water all over me. I was soaked. So I gave up that idea. But if you watch, you know, other schools like Sogetsu, they will cut underwater and they're very skillful at it. In fact, they're very skillful at arranging backwards. They are trained to do so. So, okay. I know these are, normally we don't let beginners use this material because it's hard to see where the line is in this style of chrysanthemum. But because the color was so great, I couldn't resist getting this because this is normally the color that my mother would use in this container. Okay. That is what it is. Pretty basic, pretty simple. Let's make it a little more interesting. Let's add a little texture. I hope she's not rolling in her grave. She wouldn't use you in this, but I am just to add a little more depth to this material. Okay. So kind of mostly to show you the color and the texture of it. This is kind of a rust colored ceramic vase. Bright green mums, which if I wanted to take the time, I'd of course trim them up to make one flower stand supreme in them. That's the difficulty with these pom-pom type mums. It's hard to see where the absolute top of the flower is. But if you trim it correctly, you can create that illusion. Okay. So, typical vase, typical Ikebana vase. Let's move on to something that isn't typical. All right. Sometimes I drive my students, well, not my students, the students in my school, a little bit crazy because I choose to do odd things. This is a paper sack. It's a gift sack, right? Inside, I have a little cup of water. Well, actually, I have a square container. Trader Joe's jellies. All right, so that fits inside nicely. I can put water in that now. And I can add a frog. I'll add a frog and let's see where we go. Okay, frog. Inside, let me show you something else. There are such things as frogs inside of containers already, which you could use if you wanted to. I've always found that this doesn't hold enough water though, depending upon the kind of material you use. But it works. But so does this. Okay. So it's just a bag. Do what you want to do, something fun. Sure. By the book, maybe not. But it won't be symmetrical. It'll be asymmetrical because it's interesting. Doesn't have to be a vase. Okay, if you were going to put this in the center of a table, then you can arrange 360. If it's just going to stand by one place or another, doesn't have to be. Right? Shall we add some color? I found tulips. Not tulips. It's not tulip season right now, but the magic of botany, we have tulips. And because tulips continue to grow even after they're cut, you have to be ready to watch your arrangement change. One, two, three, 5, right? Odd number, at least for the Japanese. Odd number is acceptable, even number, verboten. Anyway, okay. Just a little arrangement in this little paper bag, hydrangea, tulips. You could use them low if you want. You could make use of tulip leaves in a really creative way. Okay. To do something like that, you connect your material to the container. All right, so tulips in a paper bag. Onward. Oh, I should also tell you that in our school, we use bases underneath most of our arrangements. This, yeah, okay. This is a trivet, but because it goes nicely under an arrangement, I use it as a base. Here's another one, black base, black circle. Here's a formal one. Oh. Here's a formal one, has legs. Okay. Let me show you one other bamboo container, just because I dug it out and I love it so much. This is a boat. It's a hanging boat. All right. It doesn't always have to hang. It could be placed on a stopped boat. Is usually on anchors. Oops. So we would hold it in place using the 2 anchors, and it would kind of look like this. All right. And you saw the string on this. So this is, of course, some odd thing I found somewhere. It was a lantern holder. But then it's a hanging boat. We have specific rules about boats in my school. A boat that's pointed to the right is leaving, so it's arranged a certain way. A boat that's pointed to the left is returning home. A boat that's pointed this way with material hanging down is a stop boat. Out in the ocean, stopped, you see it on the horizon, all right? And a boat, of course, on anchors is docked. So that's just one other kind of bamboo container. This one has specific rules. And when you think of outward bound or inward bound, you have to think of Japan, right? Oh, there's water on both sides, but we're thinking on the East Coast side. So, okay, showed you that. Oh, my next one. How's time? Can I go a little bit more?
Sure, please do.
Okay. All right. H&M at the mall. Little wooden boxes, okay? You could use them as a base, you could put something on them, right? You could put, oh, what have I got? You could use it as a base. It could hold something. Or you could stack them. Now I got to move the camera again. Or you could stack them and make an arrangement. I can use this contained one in here. Contained one up here. Okay. They're kind of big for these little boxes, but for what we're doing, we can still have fun with it. All right. Okay, so all the tulips. My hydrangea is getting a little tired. Okay. All right, so 2 boxes. Nothing special, wooden boxes. Stack them, make an arrangement in one box or the other. Okay. This is how you create a bigger arrangement out of a smaller container, by stacking one on top of another. These were at H&M. They just looked interesting to have. I use them as containers when need to. They can also be flipped over and used to lift things. If I have a really low vase and I want to lift my Kenzan, then I would put the box inside and my Kenzan inside of it. Okay. Boxes. All right. Oh, we're getting crowded down here. This one. Copper tea kettle. Are any of you familiar with the University District? From old times when there used to be a bookstore on the corner of 45th and University Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Be a used bookstore. When that bookstore closed down, this copper kettle was in the window, and I went in and I convinced the owner that I had to buy it for $25. I just couldn't resist it. It was just too cute. And what I tend to use in it, I'll just drop a frog right inside. What I tend to use in it are tulips, like copper. I'm looking for my supplies. Okay. Once again, not a vase. It can be used. Heaven. I kind of got this idea from my mother. She used to use a ceramic tea kettle and arrange in that, and then a Japanese style teacup. So I went all American. Heaven, man, earth. 1, 2, 3, right? Recurring lines here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in the back to give it depth. Oops. Bad one. Can't quite see it, but it's there. Heaven. Oh, did I make that man? Heaven, helper to heaven, man, then earth, and then background for cover. Okay, and that's tulips in a tea kettle. And you can, just for the fun of it, if you were to do something like this, put it on a trivet. Whatever works. All right, let's see, what else have I got? Oh. Okay. I like Brussels sprouts. My daughter-in-law likes sprouts. So to keep both of us happy, I make Brussels sprouts when I'm invited over for Christmas dinner, and I found this bread casserole dish. Well, not only does it do really well with Brussels sprouts, right, being bright green with a little bit of maybe red pepper or whatever, but it's a good container. Doesn't have to be a vase. Doesn't have to start off a vase to be a vase. But one thing you do have to remember is how long do you want to make this? Do you want to make it look like it's escaping the dish? Or do you want to make it look like it's trying to hug the dish? Or do you want to go somewhere in between? So that, of course, comes with practice. And it comes with some measurement. We usually go diagonal, not too much more. We use that same technique of measuring in our formal techniques. Formal being the ones in the hirokuchi or the ones in the bamboo. I don't know if in your art you have standard ways of measuring, or if your eyes are so attuned to dimension and space. I can believe that. Okay, so this is just green mum. All right, doesn't take much. You can, if you want to get crazy, add wood. Let's go this way. Add wood to make it interesting, to make it heavy. It looks much heavier now. Okay. You can add different material. You can add, I'm going all one color a lot here just because it simplifies, and plus my work table is absolutely brimming with the same stuff. So okay, you can add something to it. And your Brussels sprouts dish is no longer a Brussels sprouts dish, it's a vase. Okay, so, you know, anything works. Anything works. For display purposes, or maybe a school show or an Ikebana International chapter show, maybe not. You know, a casserole dish is still going to be a casserole dish. But to please yourself, it's fine. Okay, so my last arrangement, I promise this is my last arrangement, is another one that the colleagues in my school, they just kind of shake their head but they're polite, right? Because it's me. Okay, so black base. I just always kind of found is fun. They don't always see eye to eye. Fan. Okay, just a fan. Bowling fan. If you do odori, you might use this kind of fan, you might not. All right. Kenzan in a container. Fan on top of the kenzan in the container. Man. Right. Mhm. Okay. So flowers and fan. This is just flowers through the spines of the fan in a contained kenzan like this on a black base. Or it could be actually be put directly on the table if you want, but this is how it would look. Okay. I could also use a paper clip to clip the fan itself and push it into the needles, but no need. These flowers are heavy enough to keep everything in place. Okay, so let me tilt that a little bit. This is what it looks like.
Absolutely wonderful.
Okay, kind of like I say, they just kind of shake their heads because I do this kind of stuff. I like things that aren't vases. The discipline of putting together these formal arrangements, you know, things that take hours to do as perfectly as I humanly can at my level. Doing that kind of thing is a bit of a release. Okay. And as I said, when I was taught not to say anything. And then I realized, you know, as I grew into adulthood, that I'm not arranging on the outside, I'm arranging on the inside. So from the time I start my arrangement, I'm not the same by the time I put that last stem in or that last flower in. I have changed. And I imagine that's the same thing you go through as you create and as you paint. You're not the same person you started as you finished. So that's my demonstration. Thank you very much from Ikebana International, Seattle Chapter 19, and Senkei School of Ikebana.
Very wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Everyone,
That was wonderful.
feel free to unmute yourselves and
Yes.
thank Karen for a
Thank you,
fabulous
thank you.
demonstration.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was absolutely wonderful.
It
That was
was.
wonderful.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
care.
that was just
Amazing.
amazing.
Yes.
Truly, truly enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Can we
Okay.
ask a question?
Sure.
Karen, how many arrangements did you have listed on your list? And how many did you do?
15, she
had-
did.
15?
Yeah, I think I had 4. Let me show you that.
Yeah.
I counted 15.
She's going to show us her list.
Okay, so I had it on a post-it on the wall. That's why I kept looking at it. I think I have about 14 listed.
Wow, amazing.
That is terrific.
Yeah.
When I demonstrate, I arrange really fast because I'm nervous, right? People are watching me. Oh, so I'm going really fast. I'm talking really fast. So I know I have to have more than 5 or 6. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of dead time.
Oh, it was just wonderful. Would you tell one more story about the blue bowl and how you and your mother got the blue bowl? It's probably hidden now, but.
Are you talking about the green one?
The blue-green bowl.
Well, in other words, how we started.
Yeah.
Of course, when you go to your first flower lesson, you don't know what's going on, unless somebody clues you in. But we were like totally clueless, right? We went to, we had association with this particular school because my auntie had married into a family that was part of this school. So it was by relation, otherwise there wouldn't be any Ikebana. So we went to class. We looked at what it was because teacher demonstrated. She pulled out her bowls, her vases, and demonstrated. And then during the week before the next class, my mom went out and bought some bowls. One of the green bowls. She bought a blue bowl that I had since cracked. White bowls. Just we had about 4 bowls between the 2 of us that we would use in class, which because we did 2 arrangements, worked out perfectly. We just kept changing and changing. Well, as we advanced and we needed these kind of containers, then it became a good investment for my mother because she knew that both of us would be using them. And then when I got to the point where I had an income and I had, I saw vases that I liked, I started to invest in them. Like my usugata. You can't quite see it. This is the front where the leg is. These are dragons. I was born in the year of the dragon. So dragon anything is very meaningful to me. Maybe not to anybody else, but that plus my personality of an evil overlord, it just combines really well. So, all right. Any other questions?
How many vases and bowls do you think you have in your collection?
I don't know because I inherited some when people pass away in the school, when people are members. Of course, they leave the vases to me. This room behind the cloth has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those industrial shelves with my containers, with all the school containers. That's not to mention the head instructor, Linda Vane, who has a basement full of Senke containers.
Wow.
It just.
I have a question about your Bizenware vase because it had a very dramatic cut in the top that interrupted the lip of the vase. Yes. Do you think differently when you have those angles cut at the top of the vase for your arrangement?
No, because this is what I have to measure by. I can't measure by this, right? So my length is based on this. Does that answer your question?
I think so. Okay, thank you.
Karen, do you put any preservative, that powder that you make flowers last longer? Do you use any of that in your arrangements?
Sometimes if I'm desperate, I just threw a bunch of packets away. There are other treatments that I learned. Some things get alcohol, some things get sugar, some things get aspirin. And I tend to follow those traditional methods because I don't know what chemicals are in that packet. And I wouldn't want to put those chemicals in a prized metal vase. or, you know, some other prize vase, I'd be nervous about it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a chemist, so I can't, you know, I can't analyze it. So I stick to, you know, the basics like aspirin in some things, sugar in some things, alcohol in other things. But I'd have to look up my list.
Do you use alum?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I haven't personally, but it may be that I haven't used that material that required it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I looked up frog on the internet and it says that it's called a frog because it sits in water.
Ah.
Oh,
That's a good one.
yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So thank you for heaven and man and earth. I didn't know about that triangle concept. And when you do the arrangement, you said odd number, but the fillers, is there rules where you place the fillers?
You don't want it to obscure a main line.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it to cross in front of anything.
Okay.
There are those kinds of rules. It can't compete with the main line, right? I mean, why have a helper that's competing? So yes, there are those rules.
Okay, thank you.
And do you have any books that you recommend for beginners who don't have access to an instructor? Or can you suggest how to find an instructor?
Write to Ikebana International or attend any of our either online or in-person events.
Okay.
I recommend that not because I'm lazy or that I'm trying to brush you off or anything. It's because it's style. There are so many styles. We have several different styles in our chapter, mine being one of the older ones, Ikenobo being the oldest of all, right? We all came from Ikenobo. Ikenobo is the oldest style of flower arranging. There are styles that came out of post-war Japan, like Ohara, I believe. And even later than that, well, maybe around the same time or earlier, was Sogetsu. Very, very modern style. They create art. They arrange. Well, I think of it this way. They arrange on the outside. I arrange on the inside. Now, that's not saying one or the other, right, will get you into heaven or anything. You know, it's not that. It's just that we approach things differently. One of the members, Nobuko Raunik, I don't know if any of you have met her. She is a Sogetsu teacher. She's a Sogetsu instructor, but she studies an ancient martial art. Interesting. I study an old style of flower arranging, but I practice a modern martial art. So we're always talking to each other. Well, what's the value of that? Well, the value of that is that you have hands-on. What's the value of that? Well, by going through those drills, you really, really learn what you're supposed to learn and you get to a different place. You really study differently. So it just depends on what appeals to you. I tend not to use much color because I'm looking at the line of things. I'm looking at the shape of things. But that doesn't mean that color is bad, right? I mean, my other students love spring shows because they love the color of spring flowers. I, on the other hand, think like a producer, thinking spring flowers are hard to keep alive. Fall flowers are sturdier. So I'll be honest, you know, I go with my strengths. So
great.
Ikebana International, that's the place to start. There's all kinds of teachers all over the Puget Sound area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. This was just been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
We all enjoyed it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
All right.
You know, remember that at the end of each meeting, we were going to reserve some time for sharing. If you had something that you created since the last meeting or relatively recently or something you rediscovered. But you know, who wants to follow that?
Well, I'm supposed to.
Yeah, Emily Kane needs to follow that with an announcement that's important to us. Okay.
Okay, Emily.
Thanks, Dorothy. Yeah, some of us in this group, are in the HIGA group, and some of those people have been recently published, both their haiku and their paintings, their haiku, in the Commencement Bay 10th year anniversary anthology. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Worried about reflections here. And it will be in the newsletter, the information about it. It's available on lulu.com, LULU.com. And it'll be in the newsletter, how to find it. But I wanted to show you just a couple of things in it from some of our members. Judith Schallenberger and Dorothy and myself are in it. David Woodby, except he's a new member and he didn't, after he joined after the editing was all done. But here is an amazing painting by Judith, and I'll read the haiku that goes with it, which is: flute notes mingle with the sea spray, winter twilight. And then this also includes collaborative poetry. And I'll read you one and show you the paintings that Dorothy and I did. Dorothy and I collaborated on several things, and the editors accepted a couple of them. Here's Dorothy's painting. Hope you can see that. And there's mine. And I'll read you the collaborative Renge. Spotted yellow leaves turning cartwheels in the wind, empty campground. The raven preens itself, waiting for whatever. So the group is lots of fun. And if you haven't tried it, join us. It'll be next, the HIGA meetings, PSSA HIGA meeting will be next Tuesday. No, in 2 weeks from today, excuse me. It's the third Tuesday of every month. And Kathy, is it Kathy? Dorothy, you're the one who sends out the link, correct?
Yeah, but Kathy's the one that keeps us organized.
She's
Not really.
our chairman, and Dorothy's our wonderful technical person. Dorothy, by the way, did all the, she was our kind of art godmother and art production editor for this, and did an amazing job on, was it Print Shop? With all these.
Photoshop, yeah.
Photoshop with these paintings, and it's just a beautiful little book. Wonderful color. It's 117 pages. And interesting enough, a lot of the poets aren't from Commencement Bay necessarily. Some of us are in Seattle. We have one fellow who now lives in Schenectady, New York. So you're welcome to join that group too. If you're interested, send me an email and or me or Dorothy, and we can connect you with Richard Tice, who sends out the link for that meeting, which is from 5 to 7 p.m. on the fourth Monday of the month. And it's a small group and it's just delightful, right, Judith? We have a lot of fun. And David's there too now. And so anyhow, just wanted to let you know about the publication with some of the PSSA members in it.
There's
Thank you,
wonderful
Emily.
sharing.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
sharing.
Thank you, Emily. That's great. Everyone who contributed.
I had one more question for Karen, if she's still listening. I don't know. Are you still here, Karen?
Yes, I'm still here.
My question was, I mean, I know you described that there's a frontal component, that there's a front to the flower and whatnot. I'm wondering, how much do you consider the other angles for viewing the flower arrangement besides just frontal? How important is that in your school? Is it meant to be, you would look at it for 180, 360, or it's strictly a kind of a frontal idea?
We, our formals are usually from the front. Now, we can do, we do arrangements, not formals, mind you, but the Moribana, the more modern style, we do them 360 if we were doing it, as a table decoration or for whatever reason, we can arrange in 360.
That
Okay.
that brings up a historical question. So in the 1500s, were they displayed in alcoves or nooks?
I would imagine that it would have been displayed in the tea room because tea and Ikebana are, really close. And Sen Noriku really was a tea master,
Right. Okay.
right? Urasenke and whatever. He was a tea master. So displayed there, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be the typical house. We're talking about the higher class. We're talking about the samurai class and however their homes were designed. Farmers and such didn't have tokonoma, right? I mean, they had what they had.
Right.
So,
Interesting.
It's just going to be wonderful to be able to work with Ikebana International through the Seattle chapter as time goes on. We just really appreciate all of your wonderful knowledge and
well, we're looking forward to it. We're excited.
okay, good.
So thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off and I've created a mess down here.
Thanks again.
All
That's
right,
wonderful.
thank you.
And Karen.
Thanks so much, Karen.
Happy
Thank
Halloween.
you.
Thank you.
Karen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, what a program.
Really?
Thank you for arranging it, Dorothy. That was fabulous. So does anyone else have something they'd like to share before we sign off? But be thinking about this. I'm going to be asking, I'll get to you in just a second, son.
Okay.
I'll be asking this at the end of each meeting. So be thinking about it. If you worked on something that you'd like to share, if you want to send me a JPEG, I can do a share screen that way, or you can hold it up. But do think about sharing at the end of the meeting because I think everyone enjoys it. It's a great source of inspiration. Okay, son.
Yes, when are we going to discuss about exhibit chairs for upcoming Mercer Island Gallery and Kikaber Takuma Community College?
That's a good point. Do we have anyone who is willing to step up to be the chair of either one of those shows? Again, it's a matter of organizing, just collecting the names and the type of art and just organizing the show. And we have enough people who have done that in the past that I think, I know I would be willing to work alongside someone if you're willing to take it on. So if you
I
don't
can
want,
also assist.
pardon?
I can also help.
Okay.
Of course. Mhm.
And I know Alice would help too. She's an old pro at this as well. So, and Melinda, all of us probably would like to be part of a larger village with these things together. So you don't have to give us an answer right away, but do send a note, an email maybe to either Son or to me if you're interested in doing that. And again, we'd be happy to help you. So there you have it, my friends. This was quite a meeting. Very good. And I thank you again, Dorothy, for arranging that. It was terrific. And with that, I guess I will wish you all a happy autumn. Go off and be creative, enjoy the color. And until we meet again. Oh, I have one more announcement. Most of you got this word, I think, who study with Lois in Shodo, but she is unable to teach this month. So next Tuesday's Shodo class, is not happening. But I think those of you that are in the Shoto class did get an email from her telling you what her plan is for future work in Shoto. So just want to make sure people aren't trying to tune in next week. There will be no class.
Thanks,
Okay?
Sally.
Thanks, Sally.
Thank you
Anybody
so
else?
much, Sally.
You know, I have to ask one small thing. I'm sorry I was late to the meeting today, but I do have a few more things for you, Dorothy, to some books to come to the auction. And if there's an overflow of those, if there are too many for you, I can just ask they be shared with the group somehow. There's some beautiful books that came from my friend Hera Owen, who was in the group many, many years ago. Some are from Nobu, some are from my collection. And I'm moving, so I'm winnowing things down to what I can keep and what I need to hand on. And there's a lovely long frame also that could work for a scroll. And I'm going to give David a call, David Berger, or Dorothy and I can work on that together. But I didn't want there to be an overload. And I thank you, Nola, for taking all those items that you took into your house from my
In my living room, yeah.
yeah, bless your heart. So I'll give you a call, Dorothy, to work on that later, but I wanted to make sure that
All
you
right.
still had room for some
Yeah.
items.
We still need to work out a way to get things picked up and moved someplace.
Okay.
Someplace to be determined. So.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, and remember, I don't know exactly where the dividing line would be between what's a large item and what's a small item. But if you do plan to come to the meeting in December, where we will have the silent auction, and you can schlep some of those small things to the meeting, that's great. If you can't attend, either you can make arrangements to send those with someone else, or we can save them for the other auction come summer.
Okay.
So we still have to sort all that out because this is relatively new, this direction that we're taking with the auction. And we just need to figure out how we're going to do it. So with that, thank you, Sheila, and
Thank you.
all of you who are offering items up for our scholarship auction. That's wonderful. And we will see you again in another month, but let's stay in touch. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Take care, everyone. Happy fall.
All right.
thanks, Sally. Bye.
Thank
Good to see you, Emily.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sheila.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Emily. Thanks.